to our Morning Throners podcast. I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Glow.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners.
Welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We're your Morning Throners talking Sansa 2.
Sansa.
Jeff's favorite character.
Nice quick one. Favorite character, best content.
I was saying this is one of the best Sansa chapters so far.
I thought it was
for
pretty
sure.
entertaining.
Well, I mean, compared to dog shit, I mean, what do we have to go off of?
They're not that bad.
Nah, some of them are okay. I don't know why I was so bitter before over Sansa, but
I was telling you, I think you're going to like them more in the reread because, like, there is stuff happening in these chapters, even though it's not through the perspective that, like, we relate to the most. But yeah, this one's short one, kind of short and sweet. Got definitely like some more political, I don't know if it's political intrigue, but like some shit's going on, right?
Right. We get a little bit
secret
of
letters and shit like that.
Yeah.
Conspiring.
Secret meetings by moonlight.
The first page where she's just like contemplating this note. All right, so we get in. She finds a note under her pillow. It says to come.
Wait, Kyle, what are your thoughts on this episode or this chapter?
Well, I'm just worried because I heard a rumor that you guys were calling me stupid for not figuring out more what was going on in the last chapter.
That's
so
true.
I'm worried that I'm going to run into
Who
that again
called you
today.
stupid?
Oh, I don't know.
I just in the spoiler section we had all commented that we thought Kyle would understand a little bit more of the last chapter, and I told Kyle that post podcast.
I didn't
So
say
now
shit.
he's
I didn't say shit. I kept my mouth shut.
That's not true. Listen to the
What
spoiler
did I
section
say?
for the last podcast. I don't
Play
know.
I
the
don't
tape.
care.
Play the tape.
I mean, so like you want me here to try and figure stuff out, and from a fresh
To be fair,
perspective,
Kyle,
and now
to
you're
be-
going to make fun of me.
To be fair,
there's
Kyle.
not- there's not
to be
much to figure
fair,
out in this one.
to be fair, Kyle. I said there's no shot that on my first read that I would have known either. So I said to be fair.
Well, the thing is, no one knows. I
Nelson
probably
then was
didn't
like, "Yeah, but with the way we read it, Kyle definitely should
Yeah,
have." So
this is all Nelson talking shit.
I don't know
dude.
about that. I don't know
He
about
pitched
that.
it as you guys.
I didn't say shit the whole time. I agreed with Jeff on the
all right,
first.
so I'll say
read.
this.
No
I'll
way.
say this. Kyle has
No
definitely
way.
been able to pick up on more because of how we read it and talk through it. That
Just the fact that you don't stop after a chapter and like wait a week, like you just read the next chapter and you don't even think about it. You're like, oh, that was weird. And wonder what's going to happen next. And you just go to the next chapter to find out. I mean, you don't find out immediately because we get Sansa instead of Tyrion, but like you don't just like sit and think about it.
Reignited my wanting to read ahead though, unfortunately, but I haven't yet. So I'm gonna.
Well,
keep
like I said,
that.
it doesn't even really help. Like you read this chapter, doesn't help you with anything from the last chapter. They're just
What if I
jointed. You're
read
gonna
like
wait
3 chapters?
Yeah, you have to wait like a month. Yeah, it's even worse for you. You have to wait like a real life month to get to the next Tyrion chapter or whatever.
Yeah.
Kyle, you
all
got
right,
more control than me.
So Kyle, what did you think about this chapter?
So like I said, I thought this was pretty good. I mean, like it so I know you like to hate on her, and I mean you just did, but like so I think it's kind of her coming, and I feel like I've said this a couple times now, but it's more of her coming into her own. She knows to be weary of these people now, whereas before she was like fully on board with them. The Hound gives her some good tips at the end, you know, even though he's smashed.
I feel like it is a bit of a regress though. Maybe a regress because she maybe hasn't evolved out of this, but you're right that she's like her actions are definitely like she's seems like she's doing everything right. She's very skeptical about this. She sees an opportunity, she takes it. That's why she goes for it. But the whole time, like in her head, she's still thinking, I mean, maybe not the whole time, but definitely towards the end, she's like, oh, my knight in shining armor. Like, it's just like the stories, right? Like,
yeah, she does fall back into the little girl, and this is like
well,
the
and she
fairy
is.
tale.
She is. She's
She
like,
is.
Yeah.
what, 11? Yeah.
So like what I was gonna say, I think some of the best parts of this chapter was her going through her mind about whether who could it be? Is it a knight? Is it Joffrey? Is it a trick? Is it, you know? And that just shows you the I would say the progression, like Kyle said, of her thought process. But you know, I'll give her a little bit of credit. Like she does. Like I mean, fuck. If anybody knows Sansa and once he brings up like that Florian was a Florian, she's like, oh my God, Florian, this is it. Like, it didn't even matter if he was like, hey, do you want to drink this poison? Like, oh, Florian drank the poison? Like, yeah, let's do it. Like, she was on board. Right when the story was mentioned.
I mean, I'm getting ahead here, but she was ready to off herself at one point. Like, yo, if they come at me, I'm gonna do it.
I think she would have fought. I think she was going to fight and die.
No. She was definitely ready to off herself.
Yeah, she said.
That's not the way I took it.
She said, I'm better off dead.
I'm better off dead than taking another punishment or something like that.
I was hoping that it would have been a fight. Like, at least you would have got a stab. And then, I mean, she pulls the knife on Florian, so and a little bit of defense.
What's the Japanese?
Dantos.
Seppuku or seppuku?
Seppuku or something like that.
Something like that.
What is that?
That's probably
What's
not
seppuku?
right.
It's where the samurais kill themselves after they're dishonored or captured or whatever.
If they've like dishonored themselves, like they failed.
It's like you gut yourself. It's not even like a pleasant one.
It's through the wound.
Through the wound?
Through the womb, where womb would be, I guess. Through the belly. What am I saying?
Today you learned that Nelson thinks men have wombs.
Before we get into the chronological of this chapter, I will say one more thing. So normally we have a week or so between recording podcasts, and we are recording this one on the heel of the Tyrion one from yesterday. So we recorded the Tyrion one yesterday, and it won't come out that way. But in that Tyrion one, I dropped like one or two Dantos mentions.
Yeah, you did. I did know that. I was like, here's Dantos now. Yeah.
I forget what I said. It was like Dantos wouldn't do something like this, and it was like I don't know, something good, and then here's Dantos doing like seemingly something good, right? So, but yeah.
Well, you said it like he wouldn't have been able to do something smooth. It was I
forget what I said.
Skillfully or something. I forget what it was, but yeah.
I thought kind of clever when I brought up Dantos in the.
Yeah, you're the best. Dude.
You're so pat myself on the back. All right, let's get into it. Where are we starting?
Even though you had already read both chapters before the last pod, so it was on your mind.
Of course.
So we're starting out. Sansa's in her room and she's just pacing around, like reading the note that she got that says, "If you want to go back home, meet me in the Godswood tonight."
Paraphrasing.
Come to the Godswood tonight if you want to go home.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mixed it up.
It comes up like 10 times.
You're right. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I feel like we should
I think I wrote it down.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that like the character says to themselves over and over and over throughout the chapter, at least to the first half until she like goes for it.
Yeah. She is in her room to start, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, that's all she's thinking about. And I think before her handmaiden comes by, and she's like, "Hey, do you need anything?" And she's like, "Start me a fire and then get the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
So she starts a fire, and Sansa thinks to herself, like, "Hey, I don't even know this girl. Cersei switches out my handmaidens every 2 weeks, and also I know every one of them is reporting to Cersei on what I'm doing."
Cersei or Varys, I think she says. Like she knows they're not.
Did she say or Varys?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's smart enough to know they're spies for sure. Yeah.
I think we're jumping ahead a little bit, but we can circle back. But
yeah, for sure.
It's pretty wild that Sansa's worried about the girls making friends and whatnot. It makes sense for sure. Cersei's worried.
Yeah, I mean, she's alone. She's missing her only friend Jane Poole, who she hasn't heard from.
Like,
since took her from the room.
Those maids probably aren't like the most respected in the castle. They probably hate the Lannisters too, to some degree. You know?
Yeah. If they're being mean to them, for sure.
Yeah. So like, who better to pair up with than?
Yeah. So Joe, you jumped ahead a little bit. Let's go back. So she finds this thing under her pillow. First off, that's where she finds this thing. She just comes back in, is chilling under her pillow one day.
Unsealed, unsigned, I guess.
Yep, unsigned.
And she doesn't recognize the hand.
Doesn't know who it's from. Reads it a fuck ton. And we kind of talked about a little bit this when we were talking about earlier. But she goes through like in her head like who it could be. And she thinks, I think Jeff had said this earlier, Cersei or Joffrey. And she thinks like it's a setup.
I want to mention too, before she talks about the bruise that she had from the last time and how she needs to learn how to hide her feelings a little bit better.
So what'd you get this bruise from?
It's a time we didn't read about, right?
Yeah, time we didn't read about.
Okay, I forget what
but
it was.
she said something about being excited that Janos got sent to the wall, like while Joffrey was around.
So Janos goes to the wall and she says, "I hope the others take him."
Yeah, and then she gets hit by like Mare and Tran. Like
she
Joffrey
doesn't hit him.
Joffrey doesn't hit her, right? So like, he has the other people hit her. So I think Mare is the one who
punched
got
her with a fucking mailed
fist. Yeah, fucker.
Metal glove.
So after she wishes that the others take Janos Slint, she thinks about the letter or the little note, and she's like, "All right, let me pray for an actual knight. Like, I know some good knights are here: the Red Wind Twins, Sir Balon Swan, Beric Dondarrion, who Jane Poole loved. We get a lot of little.
Is not here. Like Sansa should know that, but whatever. She's just going through names in her head.
And
so hold on, I want to stop. Kyle, did you have any thoughts? Maybe she might get one or two more thoughts in her head as we go. But what were you thinking here, Kyle?
I mean,
not Dantos. That's for damn sure. Nobody was thinking Dantos.
Yeah, definitely wasn't thinking Dantos. I mean, I think everything that she thought made sense.
Yeah,
and it was
for sure.
It was definitely a gamble to go even in the first place, because it could have completely been a test to see how obedient she was being or what side she was on. You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
it could have been most of these people. I mean, I didn't really think that
that's cool.
Some of these people gave too much of a shit about her, to be honest. Like the Red Wine twins and even Bale and Swan. Like, I don't know that they care too much about like freeing her.
It's probably she's probably just mostly thinking of people who haven't been mean to her instead of like people that have been nice to her.
But I mean, I guess that's kind of what I was going through. Is like I didn't think it was Varys or Littlefinger or any of them. But it's like who could it be? You know, that kind of thing. And
no one really has a reason, to help her at all, which sucks for Sansa, but it's kind of true. So she's wondering if it's a cruel jape. She's wondering if when she gets there, Ilyn Payne's gonna be waiting there with ice. Just gonna cut her head off.
It's fucked up.
Which that one I was like, that's probably not gonna be what's there. But
probably not.
So then this is when like Glo was saying earlier, is when the servant comes in. She has all those thoughts. She wonders for a second if maybe the servant was even the one who put this letter in her pillow, since the servant's obviously coming to her room every once in a while.
Yeah.
But the servant asked for a bath. She's like, nah, fuck that. Give me a fire. And probably because as soon as the fire's lit, she tells her to leave. Like Glo said, she just throws the letter right in the fire. Doesn't want any evidence of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But she does say something to herself that was like, suddenly she was glad she had burned the note, which kind of made me think she didn't plan to burn it.
I kind of thought that when the servant came in, that's when she was like, I should burn it now because people could find it.
It was just weird. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that made sense too.
I thought when she said that was kind of in her mind, like, okay, I'm definitely not going, right? Because at that point she's like, I'm not going. But then when shit starts kicking off, she's not going to go. And then shit starts kicking off in the city or something, right? And that's when she has a change of heart.
Yeah, like that. Her guards on the catwalk.
So I think, so what happens next, right, is she looks out the window and she sees Sir Preston Greenfield, who's one of the King's Guard, guarding like the drawbridge.
I mean, for a second, she's just thinking of Jane and Septa Mordain and how she doesn't have anybody to talk to.
I think the order's a little off there. I think she sees Preston first. Yeah. She sees you're right around the corner. She sees Preston first, and then that's when we get the Kyle quote. She's glad she burned the letter, because basically the way I took that was she knew she couldn't get out of the castle. So like, okay, good. Like this was a stupid idea. I was stupid to entertain this. I'm glad it's gone because now like it's out of my mind. I'm just gonna go to bed type thing. Is what that thought was about. And then as she gets in bed, she starts thinking, like Jeff said, she thinks about Septa Mordain, who we saw her head, right? Joffrey made her go up and look at, Ned, and Septa was there. And Glo was saying it earlier, Jean Poole, I don't know what Sansa actually says. She said that she just disappeared. She just disappears the night.
She did. I mean, right, that first chapter after that. Well, I don't even know.
Do we remember what happened to her, Kyle? Well, I remember.
I remember too, but I was in a Sansa chapter. I don't remember.
It was not a Sansa chapter. I thought it might have been because
Sansa recalled when they like locked her in the door, and
it was a Sansa chapter.
Hold on, can I fucking talk?
You're right.
They were locked. They got locked in while Arya was running around in the craziness of killing, and then a couple days later they just took Jane out.
But what happened to her?
But what I remember was there was this in a chapter. There was like, I don't remember whose chapter it was, but I'm thinking it has to be Sansa, because who else would have been with these people at this time? There was Littlefinger and Cersei, and probably like Pycelle and Varys were also in the room, and they were talking about Jean Poole in front of somebody, and Littlefinger was like, "Oh, I'll take care of her." And Littlefinger is like the one that said like he would like take care of her, whether that meant like kill or like take her out of the city or like. But like Littlefinger is the last person that we saw.
I was gonna say probably put her in a brothel.
Put her in a brothel, any of that shit, right? But yeah, Littlefinger is the last person that I saw.
I think you're spoiling.
I'm 100% sure that was in a Sansa Game of Thrones chapter, and like Sansa should know that too, which is why I was surprised here that she said what you guys were saying, that she was taken out of her room. You don't remember that at all, Kyle? What I'm saying, that Littlefinger has her? No, that definitely happened. I know I'm not spoiling.
You're spoiling. I don't remember.
I know I'm not spoiling.
I don't know that that's a spoil, but I mean, even you might. It's a spoil, but I don't know that it's like a big one. I guess if we haven't read it yet. But I mean, she's like, she disappeared from her room and never was mentioned again, is what she said here. I don't know how that would be a spoil unless like they see her again or somebody brings her up. But like, why would anybody even bring her up coming up? I guess so. It makes sense that this happened already. What Nelson is talking about.
But he's spoiling.
No, I'm finding it. Hold on, just give me a second. Oh, here we go. Sansa was confused. My notes say they ignored her, and Cersei and Littlefinger will find a place for outside the city. Cersei tells Boros to get Jean and have her wait for Littlefinger and tell Littlefinger that he will take her to her dad. That will calm her down. That's what Cersei says in front of Sansa. She is to be gone before Sansa gets back to her room. This is what Cersei commands. Then I have a quote. Sansa was confused. Where's Jane's father? Why can't Sir Boros take her to him instead of Lord Peter having to do it? She had promised herself she would be a lady, gentle as the queen and strong as her mother, and Lady Catelyn. But all of a sudden she was scared again. For a second she thought she might cry. where are you sending her? She hasn't done anything wrong. She's a good girl. Right. And then I brought up the fact that she says, no, not Lady. Lady didn't do anything. She's a good girl. And when Lady dies. So.
Yeah.
You're a good girl, Nelson.
Suck it, guys.
All right, go fuck yourself, Nelson. We just
I
wasted.
That also,
I believed you.
that also
We just
proves-
wasted 2 minutes.
That just shows you wasted. That just shows you how expert my notes are.
All right, your
find that
notes are
exact
great.
quote in 2 minutes.
Your notes are great, but
Thank
it
you.
doesn't change the fact that
It changed the fact that I was right and you guys were all saying I was wrong.
I didn't say
said
you
you
were
were right.
wrong. I
Thank
said
you,
the
Kyle.
first. I said the first thing we heard about Jane Poole was that she got taken from the room, which they said here too.
I said that they said they went to Littlefinger and you guys all said I was spoiling. Wrong.
Spoiler.
Wrong.
Spoiler.
Let's go. What's next?
Once in a while, she even missed Arya.
She lays back. She goes to bed, and she misses Arya.
Yep.
Oh, she actually misses Arya.
Sometimes.
But she's completely wrong with where she is.
Yeah.
She's not safe at home dancing and having
Stitching.
fun.
Did she say she's going to be stitching too?
Selling and dancing and playing with Bran and baby bricking.
Yeah.
Two of
Yeah.
the three, she definitely
Quite
wouldn't be
wrong
doing.
on
She
that.
wouldn't have been dancing or stitching.
Well, the
She
thing is, Sansa thought that Arya was having dancing lessons, right? She never
Yeah,
actually
true.
knew what was
Yeah.
going
Oh,
on.
that's true.
That makes sense.
So like maybe the dancing
Maybe
part.
dancing,
Yeah.
sword fighting.
But then exactly. Then she hears a ruckus.
Yep, shit kicks off.
Bring the motherfucking ruckus.
I could have I thought it was something to do with the stuff we were reading about last chapter. You know, like Renly showing up or like some of his guards showing up. Where I was like, but obviously it couldn't be that because, like you said, it was. This is way before even the last chapter or the last Tyrion chapter. You know.
Would you say it's like a week before, right?
I was hoping that this was some bullshit going on. Like I didn't know that the chrono. I was hoping that it was. I forgot. Right. I didn't remember what this ruckus was. I was like, man, I hope it's. I knew it wasn't anything.
Do they
like,
say what it is?
Yeah, it's just
It
people at
was
the
just
gates.
people hungry.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's
Being
what like Tyrion
unruly.
talks about
They heard
in
about
the Tyrion chapter.
a wedding feast. They wanted in.
Well, Tyrion doesn't mention that, but Tyrion does in the Tyrion chapter mention that there was people like. Well, Bronn says that there's grocers and people there, but I think even in the Tyrion chapter before that, there's a mention that there's people at the gates.
Oh, I'm sure they're constant. Yeah.
Yeah.
People are
Which
starving.
in the Tyrion chapter before that would be the one where they get the letter, which is again 3 days after this one. So kind of lines up. Hey, y'all, quick comment from Editor Nelson. Earlier in this podcast, we had talked about some timeline stuff that I ended up being wrong on. So I had edited it out of the podcast. We bring it back up here. The actual timeline for this is Sansa is taking place probably shortly after the last Tyrion chapter that we read about. So Kyle's probably right here. Just wanted to put that in because I know it's a little bit confusing since I edited out the timeline stuff. We'll get into some of the reasoning why we're placing that in the spoiler section of this chapter. So for those of you who are sticking around can find that out there. But yeah, the rest of you, just a quick correction on the timeline. This Sansa chapter is taking place shortly after the last Tyrion chapter we just read.
So she hears the craziness going on. She remembers that someone just said to her that people were constantly coming in the gates and fleeing from the war or whatnot, and they were robbing and killing people. But she's like talking to herself, like, just go to bed, like, ignore it. But she looks out the window and no more Preston Greenfield.
Exactly.
No one's there.
Uh-oh, this is my chance.
This is my time to shine. Let me get dressed and head on out of here.
Let me put on the family colors and run around the.
I mean, it's
Sansa's
plain.
thinking the same thing Jeff is. Sansa's thinking the same thing Jeff is, that this is Stannis or Renly, right? She thinks that for a second, or at least wonders it to herself.
Finally come
And,
to
yeah.
kill Joffrey. Like, not.
Yeah.
Like, there's no chance that they lose. Like, they're coming to kill Joffrey.
If she thought it was them, she should have just stayed in her room and waited, right?
For sure. Like, okay, they'll take me home. Or at least take
Yeah.
me captured, too.
Not be as bad as, Joffrey. But she thinks if that was true, then they would have raised the bridge. So then she, like, kind of talks her way out of that one, and then this is where she starts getting dressed. Like you guys are saying, she wears, like, plain clothing. She does she actually wear stark colors?
Oh,
Gray
Thanks,
cloak,
Selfish.
plain gray.
Great cloak.
Okay,
yeah.
so that is a stark color, but
Close.
she also takes a knife with her, like we talked about earlier. And she said she would rather go dead than to let them hurt
It's like
her
a
more.
steak knife. That's the best.
Yeah.
But like that's
I'm
she's
gonna
gonna
assume-
fight them, not
I'm gonna
kill
assume
herself,
that
right?
those
Said
stakes are.
she'd rather be dead than, so it's either fight and then kill themselves or
If it is
Fight
some
to be
trap,
killed?
better that I die than let them hurt me more. That's totally kill herself.
I took it the same way as Kiao.
I'm not thinking that way. I think she means like I'll die fighting. But
I took it the same way Jeff did, but now I'm just picturing Sansa running at like the Hound with a steak
They would
knife,
just catch
and, like,
her.
The Hounds, they
Yeah.
would just grab her.
Yeah,
up.
they wouldn't kill her. That's what I'm saying. So like,
Exactly.
that's why I think she was planning to try. She
Yeah.
thought she would end herself.
Okay, that makes sense. Right. If she tried to fight him with a butter knife,
this.
they would just like punch her. And
exactly. I thought the same thing you did too, Jeff. But now that I'm actually thinking about it, like she's 11.
It's not very plausible.
The hound is like huge.
They'd just take the knife from her and it would be over.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So a bunch of Lannister men are running past her. She's kind of running around. She then sees more Kingsguard people and helping Joffrey. So Joffrey's out. He's calling for his sword, calling for his crossbow, even though we know he's an awful shot.
Horrible shot.
He's even worse because this is
this is way before he even had that most recent practice. Yeah,
exactly.
Maybe that's why he was getting some extra work.
I was gonna say that's probably why.
Maybe he missed some shots.
Maybe he's dedicated.
Townsfolk. Yeah.
Maybe he's dedicated.
Shooting in townsfolk.
Yes.
Yes, probably.
So luckily she's able to avoid detection. She's just like Assassin's Creed in the shadows. And she runs up some stairs. Again, I don't understand the layout of this castle, but she was outside. Now she's back inside.
She's downstairs, over a bridge, back upstairs to a forest.
Around some spiral staircase. Yeah. She crosses across a one-eared tomcat. And then by the time she reaches the Godwood, the noises had faded to a faint rattle.
Arya was chasing, eh?
Yes, sir.
She's this cat is in my notes twice now.
That was the last time. That was the last cat she had to catch, right?
It was like the toughest one.
The hard one, yeah. By the time she reached the Godwood, the noises had faded to a faint rattle of steel and distant shouting. Sansa pulled her cloak tighter. The air was rich with the smells of earth and leaf. Lady would have liked this place, she thought. There was something wild about the Godswood. Even here, in the heart of the castle, in the heart of the city, you could feel the old gods watching with 1,000 unseen eyes.
I don't know if the Bran chapters taught me anything. It's the wolves hate being trapped in the Godswood. So I don't know if Lady loves gods.
Yeah, this one doesn't even have a weirwood tree, right? This is just the oak as the heartwood.
Yeah.
Which probably would have liked it better than the rest of King's Landing.
Probably, yeah. Fair enough. And if it wasn't trapped in there. But yeah.
So Sansa starts thinking about like her own religious feelings, and she's thinking that like she's always kind of favored her mother's gods,
which makes sense to her. They're prettier. They're
I was gonna say for
more storied.
Sansa reasons, exactly. For sure.
Yeah,
for Sansa
she gets into that. Yeah, but she's feeling like I guess she always knew it, but she's definitely feeling it now that she can't deny that there's like something to the old gods. Like there's some power here, especially by night.
Yeah,
right. She prays for help, and
people can usually feel that. Like, you just have a feeling sometimes around some spots. Like,
that's like actually like a thing that they study for like psychology. I think where you have like a feeling of smallness. Like a lot of people get it like standing on like the beach at nighttime and stuff like that.
The immensity of the beach.
You just feel like nothing about your life matters because there's like so much other shit out there.
So when you go into like a church or something, you just feel a little pious-y because
people say that's why like some churches are so grand, right? Like people say that what's the point of a grand church? Churches like are kind of against like vanity and stuff like that.
Load of money. That's why
money.
The answer that religious people tell you is because it's awe inspiring. That's like that's what that feeling of awe is, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've been to some of these like European churches and
exactly
and
like in Rome and shit.
Like this is awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's what at least what they say about it now. Of like some of the reasoning behind that. But 100%, like we've all felt that where you just like even if I'm not religious that much and I'll be at a certain time like I mean,
there's always
just get that
I've
weird
always
feeling,
been able
right?
to say like I've always felt, and I am like religious. I don't say I'm like crazy religious, but I've felt more religious in different spots other than the church too. You know, I felt 100%. More connected to my religion outside of church than actually being in church. But
and whether Sansa wants to admit it or not, like she was even like if she was, I think even if she wasn't a Stark by blood, because like how much does blood actually have to do with it? Like she was raised in Winterfell, which like is not a King's Landing type city.
Like their sept probably was like shitty, like not shitty, but
exactly. Ned had it built. There was no sept there until like Ned had it built for Cat. But just like when she enters the Godswood, she has to feel like a little bit at home, even if, you know what I mean? Like even if,
I mean, her dad probably took her to the Godswood a bunch of times anyway.
100%. Even if it doesn't seem like a Sansa-y place, she has to like, that's what she's like. I think that's what's happening there.
Yeah.
So she's walking through wondering like if the person is still here, like if they waited long enough. She's like, they have to have waited long enough. Like, I guess it's not that late yet. And, she gets grabbed, right? He just comes out and grabs her from behind, like puts his hand on her shoulder.
How long do you think he was waiting there?
Whenever he got off duty, he grabbed a jug of wine. And
he's a fool though now, right? Like he's like dancing and shit in court.
So
whenever court breaks,
duty, right?
I guess, I don't know.
Yeah. So he's just probably just chilling there. He grabs her, and she, as soon as the moonlight like hits him, she knows who it is. And she can also like immediately smell the wine.
I had one glass.
Sir Danto Sir Dantos, she breathed heartbroken.
Yeah.
Fuck. This guy.
My savior is the drunk that had no pants on or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Came out with his pants
She
off.
pulls the knife out immediately on Bull, too.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, stay away from me. What's going on here? Yeah, I mean, which is smart, right? She has no idea what's going on here. And he says that his intention, he just wants to help her like she helped him. Like, she literally saved his life at that tournament, and he's like, that's what I want. That's what I'm here for. Like, chill out with that knife.
I thought it was pretty cool, his quote about, when I was a knight, I felt the biggest fool when I was a knight, and now that I'm not a knight, I feel like I should be a knight type of shit. Or like I know what the real meaning of being a knight is.
Yeah.
That's when he says, like, I've only had one cup. She's like, if they catch us, he says if they catch us, they're gonna, like, they'll kill him. So, like, chill out. She wonders, like, what they would do to her. And she thinks that Lady could smell falsehood. And then she gets, like, mad at herself and blames Arya. Not at herself. She blames Arya for Lady's death.
Yeah.
She's like, I wish Lady was here. Lady could smell falsehood. But then she blames the death on Arya, which is, I don't know. I think Sansa is just as much at fault for that then.
Yeah, for sure.
She's like, Eddard had to kill him because of Arya.
Yeah. Which, just substitute Arya for Sansa, and that sentence makes sense. So she has the knife on him still. She demands to know who sent him. He swears that no one sent him. He's just there on his own good. And she's like, she thinks that he isn't a knight since Joff like commanded it, and now that he's a fool, even lower than Moonboy. Like the lowest of fools. Yeah, the lowest of fools. And she's like thinking, like, I prayed for the gods for a knight. Why did they send this old drunk fool?
He agrees. He's like, yeah, you're right. I am pretty shitty.
And that's when we get the Jeff quote, right?
I deserve that, though. I know it's queer, but all those years I was a knight, I was truly a fool. And now that I'm a fool, I think I may find it in me to be a knight again, sweet lady. And all because of you, your grace, your courage. You saved me, not only from Joffrey, but from myself.
There you go. And this is where he drops, like, the hook, line, sinker to Sansa.
Yeah,
like,
all you needed. This is just like the fucking...
the sting of another fool who was the greatest knight of all. Florian, Sansa whispers.
Well, she's like, Florian.
Florian.
That's my favorite story.
Yeah.
I can be in the story.
He falls to his knees immediately. She takes the knife down. She's like, feels kind of dizzy. Like, right? My note says she feels
as if she was
lightheaded.
floating, she said. Her head seemed light. Yeah.
She thinks it'd be foolish to touch this drunk, but wonders if she will ever have like a chance like this again. And she's like, all right, well, tell me your plan. Like, what's the deal here?
She does come back to earth a little bit quicker. Like, all right, well, what the fuck? How are we actually doing
She
this?
was floating on that Florian high.
She is right, though. Like, I think this probably is her best opportunity for sure.
It's her only opportunity.
Said earlier, when she's going through names in her head, like, who's here to help me? Like, there's no one here who really wants to help her. So
yeah,
like,
I mean, all the Stark people are gone. Arya's long gone.
Dancing. Sewing and dancing.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes perfect sense to kind of drop your guard and realize this is your one shot, but you got to hear him out first. So he's pretty much like, I got to sneak you out, which is going to be hard as shit, but we'll put you on a boat.
He made it seem really easy, too. Like, oh, all we got to do is get you out of the castle.
Well, he says that will be the hardest, but once you're out, the ships will take you home.
Yeah. He's not going the Yoren route, right? Like, even Yoren said that to Arya in one of those chapters where he's like, I kind of wish we would have taken a boat right about now is like what it amounts to is what he says to her. So Dantos is going straight for the boat. Ned was trying to go straight for the boat before all that shit happened. So boat's probably the right way to go. And he basically says like, well, yeah, that's all I got so far. Like, I don't really know how I'm going to get you out or anything, but like, you got to just keep coming back here. And this is where we're going to be talking. Because they watch us both all the time.
Which I feel like that's going to be weird too, because this isn't somewhere she hangs out, I'm sure. You know, like it's like she's just starting to go to the Godswood all the time now.
I think she does go to the Godswood. She just doesn't go at night.
I doubt it.
No, I think it says she prays more at the Godswood. I feel like I remember that.
I feel like I'm on Kyle's side, but I feel like it's one of those things that would be noticed at first. Like after a week, if people don't notice, like, oh, why did she start going to the Godswood? Then after a week, people will think what Glow's thinking, that she's always been going to the Godswood type thing, is where I feel like that's at. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes I want to start wearing a gold chain, but I feel like, man, if I wore a gold chain, like everyone would be like, yo, Nelson, why the fuck are you wearing a gold chain? But if I've been wearing a gold chain before I met them, type thing, then they would never know. And if somehow I got past it for like a week, or like I had it under my shirt for like a week and nobody said anything, and then all of a sudden it popped out one day, I could be like, I've worn this thing for like a month. Then it's less weird, you know? That's what Sansa needs to get away with.
Shit, you learned about Nelson on this.
Learn about it. That's a thought that I was having.
My man wants to wear a gold chain. Do it.
It's just a thought in my head.
Just do
what
you.
If I want to wear some, just not a gold chain, like what if I wear some rings?
Do it.
What if I want to get a grill?
Don't do that.
All right. So I have a little Dantos quote. Jeff, since you've already taken the Dantos voice.
Thank you, sweet lady.
Sir Dantos lurched clumsily to his feet and brushed earth and leaves from his knees.
Your lord father was as true a man as the realm has ever known, but I stood by and let them slay him. I said nothing, did nothing. And yet, when Joffrey would have slain me, you spoke up. Lady, I've never been a hero. No Ryan Redwine or Barristan the Bold. I've won no tourneys, no renown in war, but I was a knight once, and you have helped me remember what that meant. My life is a poor thing, but it is yours.
Sir Dantos placed a hand on the gnarled bole of the heart tree. He was shaking, she saw.
I vow, with your father's gods as witness, that I shall send you home.
So, Kyle, what do we think?
So I had forgotten that this was not a weirwood, and I was like, oh man, nobody can tell a lie under this thing. But
well, no, that's not what they said. Because I don't know if we did it in the spoiler section or not, but we got into the whole look up what the difference between a heart tree and a weirwood tree is. And what we found out was the heart tree is just the tree at the center of the godswood with the face on it. I don't even know if it needs a face. It's just like the main tree of the godswood.
Well, I assumed that's where they were at.
They are at the godswood, but there's no weirwoods in King's
That's what I just said.
It's an oak tree, but it's still a heart tree.
Still got the face in it, dog.
I don't even know if it needs a face. There's like every godswood, I guess, has like a main tree called the heart tree, which is like the central tree of the godswood.
I mean, it does say the heart tree, yeah.
Yeah, most of them are weirwoods, and most of the godswoods are weirwoods. It might be the face thing. I don't remember exactly what we said. But like, yeah, a heart tree doesn't have to be a weirwood, but most heart trees are. But since they cut them down in the south, some of them aren't anymore. But yeah, it is a heart tree. And I think what they said in the John chapter was no man can lie in front of a heart tree.
Yep,
again, that's bullshit because we saw Bran do it like two chapters ago. So, but yeah, if that's what we're getting
I know, I was making a joke.
What did Bran lie about?
But Bran didn't lie well in front of the heart tree.
It was
about his dreams, about the wolf dreams.
Yeah, not having his dreams. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And so what's a bowl, Nelson?
It's like one of the little lumps that sticks out of a tree.
It says a trunk.
Huh?
Gnarled trunk of the tree is the definition. I just looked it up now. I wouldn't have known what that was either. I assumed it was a knot as well.
I got you. I thought you were saying I read the quote wrong.
No, I was talking about Game of Thrones.
It's a Game of Thrones word.
Yeah, that was what was going on.
Very true.
But
so, all right, well, what do you think about this? What's going to happen? Prediction time.
I think he's got a point. I mean, I just can't see this working out great. Like, first off, I don't know how he even made it into her room to put this note under the bed or under the pillow without being caught, like, to be honest. But
that's a good point.
And Varys is everywhere. Like, I feel like he's got to be watching this to some degree.
It's a good point.
So you don't think this gets off the ground?
What's that?
You don't think this plan gets off the ground?
I mean, I think it starts to get in motion, but I don't know that it's going to go well, I guess is what I'm getting.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So he tells her to be patient.
Yep.
Look, the time has to be ripe, which she doesn't really explain what a ripe time would be. But
she's like, let's go now. It's I think we're, I'm jumping back a little bit. She's like, the time's fucking right
now. Could we go now?
Like,
yeah. He said this very night. No, I gotta find a way to get you out of here first. Like, this plan's still not fully fleshed out.
But I want to let you know that I got something in the works.
But what you were saying about Varys, he says the stones have ears in the Red Keep, and that's like his reasoning for why they can only talk on the Godswood. Mm-hmm. He says, like, if I'm seeming cruel to you in the hallways and stuff, you're saying that the Godswood doesn't have ears as well. Like, how do
that's what I was gonna say. Do you think that Varys is just gonna be like, oh, he went to the Godswood, can't do nothing?
Yeah, this is the no Varys zone. Yeah.
Or like, even if he just watches Dantos go in, or has somebody see Dantos head in here, and then never come out, and then Sansa go in here, and like in the middle of the night too,
just once,
and she gets busted as well as the other thing.
Yeah, because he tells her to come here often.
Yeah.
But he does say that, like, if I see you, like, during the day and shit, I'm just going to be just as, like, normal. Or if I see mocking or indifferent, forgive me. Yeah. Like, you have to do the same. Like, people can't know about this. Be brave and strong, but mostly patient. He's like, be quick, because I'm afraid. And he's like, don't worry, I am too. And now he's like, all right, you got to go before you're going to be missed. She kissed him on the cheek, called him Florian, and told him the gods answered her prayers.
Stupid little bird.
Yeah. So yeah,
she completely flipped. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like halfway through, she gets like a little childish.
Yeah. Which is
I think
fair.
the Hound wakes her up a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Because she starts running, she's running away, blah blah blah. She's like, "Oh, Florian, this is like kind of just like the stories. He wasn't handsome either, but he wasn't quite as old as Dantos is." And then she runs right into Sander.
Sander's like,
almost
what
knocks
are you
him down.
doing here?
Almost knocks him down some
And
stairs.
kills him.
Yeah,
Murder.
Grabbed him, then laughed. He's like, "Is that what you want to do? Kill me?" "Oh, maybe it is." Ha 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 ha. The Hound's a little drunk, just like Dantos. Everybody was partying tonight. He asked her, like, "What are you doing flying down the stairs by night?" Because he's a little, what's that, bird metaphor? Because he always calls her a bird.
Mhm.
Yep.
When she didn't answer,
Just gripping
he's
her
like,
up.
"Where
too.
were you?" He's like, just straight up. He's like, "Where were you?" She's like, "I was in the Godswood praying for my father and for Joffrey, that he wouldn't be hurt."
I feel like
It's like, that's a lie.
something. She shouldn't be saying that. One, praying for your father, like
He's already dead.
Well, whatever. You pray to dead people, but like he's a traitor in their eyes. Like if it wasn't the Hound, they'd be like, "What are you doing for that? You a traitor too?"
Yeah,
like
true,
smack
maybe.
cloud in the ear.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I think that
If
problem is
if
solved.
it wasn't the Hound, though, it would have
Yeah,
been an issue.
I guess.
I could see it for sure. Then, so he says Godswood. She also probably should. I mean, I don't know the layout of the castle, but if she could have said anywhere but the Godswood,
Yeah.
that like would have made sense.
But
like
now-
maybe not tell the truth.
Now, I mean, unfortunately, it's the middle of the night, but now she is establishing her
There you
going
go.
to the Godswood occasionally.
Her alibi.
And the Hound's
Or
too
whatever
drunk to
you
question
call
it
it.
right now. So in the morning, he'll just remember, "Oh, Sansa."
He
goes to
might
the
not even
Godswood.
remember either. And like,
Yeah.
that's the other thing I was
True.
thinking. It's like this conversation, that was kind of where I was at this point, was like, especially when they were talking about how drunk he is later. Like,
Yeah, he starts saying some shit about like his like history and stuff. I mean, he got drunk in the first book, right, and told Sansa the story about how his face got burnt, and then like
Mhm.
got pissed about it at the end. I was like, "Don't tell anybody that. I shouldn't have said that," type thing. And I don't think he's doing quite as personal stuff here, but we get some cool Clegane history in a little bit.
Yeah. It's pretty
So
badass. The Dukes.
he's like, "Are you think I'm so drunk I'm gonna believe that?" But he's like clearly drunk. And then he like starts going like, "Oh, you're kind of sexy. You almost look a woman. Face, teats, and you're taller now, but you're still a stupid little bird singing the stupid songs they taught you." He's like, "How about you sing me a song?"
Are you still singing those?
Yeah, sing me a song.
and then she
What if
tells
she just
him-
What if she just broke out in song,
she should
like
have,
just singing?
because she fucking
Can't touch
tells him,
this. Da-na-na-na.
she literally tells him the plan pretty much, though.
Does she say Florian?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What did she
she's
say?
like, I know a
Yeah.
song about Florian.
Yeah,
Florian the
yes.
fool.
And his cunt. Yeah.
Yeah, because he says, give me a song about knights and fair maids. You like knights, don't you? And she says, true knights,
Yeah.
because the Hound isn't a knight.
Mm-hmm.
But he also doesn't like seem to want to be a knight. Like he seems to not like knights.
Well,
like,
he says
women
he.
are
I
the-
mean, he explains later he'd rather be a dog than a knight.
That's like one of my favorite Game of Thrones quotes all time. Just because dogs are
Sounds like we'll be
actually
reading
cool.
it.
I
Let me
like how he
definitely
asked
reading
her,
it.
he's like, do you like wine? You know, true wine?
Yeah, he's like mocking her back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The dark
He's like-
red wine or something.
because she
The
says,
arbor.
true knight's my lord. He's like, I'm no lord, no more than I am a knight. He's like, do I have to beat that into you? Because again, like the Hound is against knights. The true wine thing, he says he calls himself drunk as a dog. And he's like, I'm gonna take the little bird back to her cage. So then they go back to they're crossing the bridge and they run into Sir Boros Blunt here. She thinks that he is the worst of all the Kingsguard, an ugly man with a foul temper, all scowls and jowls.
The Hound just big boys this dog
He
too.
says he's still just a toad.
Paint stripes on a toad, he does not become a tiger, is what the Hound tells her.
That's not a great
We don't
line.
gotta be scared of him.
Lipstick on a pig. Doesn't make
He
it
just-
pretty.
Yeah.
He just big boyed this guy, Boris.
Yeah,
Blunt.
Boros lifts his visor. He's like, "Sir, where?" Like about the
Fuck
question.
your
He's
sir.
like, "Fuck your sir, Boros. You're the knight, not me. I'm the king's dog. Remember?" And the Boros like, "The king was looking for you earlier." And he's like, "It wasn't." He's like, "I was drinking.
Well,
He's like,
fuck
it was your
off,
night to
King.
guard him."
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I was drinking. It was your night to guard him." And he asked why Sansa. He's like, "Why
You
shouldn't
and my
she be in
other
her room?"
brothers. So obviously he doesn't give a shit about the Kingsguard. By the way, I didn't want you to skip over that because like he like truly doesn't take this. I mean, he's still protecting Joffrey, obviously, but he doesn't give a shit about the status
camaraderie part of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
What does he say about brother? I feel it like reminds me of why he hates his own brother. So
He
why
says
would he
you and
like
my
these-
other brothers in italics. So it's
Yeah,
like
just
sarcastic,
mockingly says
you know,
it,
like
yeah.
thick.
So
Boros questioning why Sansa wasn't in her room. She tells him the same lie, but she says that she thinks she did a little better this time because now it's second time coming.
It's where we find out that it was just fools at the gate.
When the Hound even kind of stands up, she's like, how do you expect her to sleep with this ruckus going on? Like, of course she was doing something. So he kind of even covers for her a little too.
I think the Hound just wants to fight with Boros. Like, he'll just disagree with Boros on anything he's saying.
Fair enough.
That's it, yeah.
I think he's just trying to bang Sansa. Dude.
This is the first we hear about this wedding. There's a Tyrek Lannister wedding feast. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And
who is that?
Food.
Who the fuck is Tyrek?
He's,
nephew.
Lannister nephew?
Nephew to Tywin. Tyget Lannister is his father, who's Tywin's brother.
Another good one was Boris is like, His Grace led a sortie and sent them scurrying. And the Hound's like, oh, brave boy.
Yeah, exactly. Hound doesn't give a fuck about anybody.
Even Joffrey, that is pretty funny. Guy is supposed to be protected. Like it's weird how serious he takes his job, and I feel like this might be something that I'm missing or like foreshadowing of something coming up. But like he takes this job of Joffrey so seriously, even though he doesn't really give a shit about any of them. It seems.
Well, you can take your job seriously without caring about your superiors. I mean, I guess what you're saying is it's his job.
He's like sworn to duty to this kid that he doesn't even care about.
Yeah, 100%. I think Joffrey probably gives him a little bit of more leeway, right? Like we hear that the Hound isn't commanded to hit Sansa ever, right? Like she says that, like in the first Sansa chapter, she says like, she talks about all the Kingsguard and like how she hates them all, and she says like, but the Hound has never been told to hit me at all. So I feel like you're right that he's commands to Joffrey, but Joffrey has this like respect for him where he like, there's like certain things he won't tell him to do maybe.
Well, I think he knows the Hound will say no or something like that too.
Yeah, because
the Hound has a little bit of a moral code.
He's got this like set thing of duties, I guess, and it's weird that he follows them directly or like religiously or whatever you want to say, like strictly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's 100% weird. It's kind of like going to the Varys quote of like who holds the power, the man with the sword or like the rich man or whatever. Like why doesn't the Hound just kill Joffrey if he doesn't like him? But why doesn't Joffrey just have all the
kill him? Just leave, go do whatever else. Like,
and why doesn't Joffrey just have all the other Kingsguard just kill the Hound if he knows the Hound won't do certain shit?
I think the Hound's been around long enough that I think Joffrey likes him. But
exactly, that's the type of thing. That's what I think the Hound likes is like he knows that he has like this rapport with Joffrey where he has a higher status than anybody around him. Even before he was a Kingsguard, right? The Hound like kind of did the same thing the Kingsguard did, like just for Joffrey before he was a king.
Yeah,
before he was a king, exactly. And he had this rapport and like the set of rules of how what I'll do and what I won't do, and that just like continued over. And he's like, cool, fuck it, I'll just like keep doing what I'm doing. And I think if it crossed that line, he'd probably do what you said, God, just like be like, fuck you, I'm out.
Yeah, well, like I said, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I feel like there's like some foreshadowing there where there's going to be a situation that he gets put in, and maybe we either find out a little bit more about him, or or he does leave, or switch sides, or.
I will say that he was put in a situation like that right after Lady was killed, and he just slaughtered the butcher boy. I mean, maybe that's not the type of situation, but like. If you choose him to,
that's
Jeff said moral code. Jeff said moral code earlier. I'm not going to say moral code for the Hound. He literally just killed the butcher boy.
Yeah, he ran him over with his horse. Yeah.
And yeah, like Ned said, he was literally
he attacked the king.
So I'm getting to the quote.
Why do you let people call you a dog? You won't let anyone call you a knight.
I like dogs better than knights. My father's father was kennel master at the Rock. One autumn year, Lord Tytos came between a lioness and her prey. The lioness didn't give a shit that she was a Lannister's own sigil. Bitch tore into my lord's horse and would have done for my lord too, but my grandfather came up with the hounds. 3 of his dogs died running her off. My grandfather lost a leg, so Lannister paid him for it with lands and a tower house and took his son to squire. The 3 dogs on our banner are the 3 that died in the yellow of the autumn grass. A hound will die for you, but never lie to you. And he'll look you straight in the face.
He cupped her under the jaw, raising her chin, his fingers pinching her painfully.
And that's more than little birds can do, isn't it? I never got my song.
I know a song about Florian and Jonquil.
Florian and Jonquil? A fool and his cunt. Spare me. But one day I'll have a song from you, whether you will it or no.
I will sing it for you gladly.
Sandor Clegane snorted.
Pretty thing, and such a bad liar. A dog can smell a lie, you know. Look around you and take a good whiff. They're all liars here, and everyone better than you. And back to the whole lady could have smelled a liar.
Yeah.
She did know that already, right?
A dog. Well, she's no dog. A dire wolf.
And it's funny because he's saying everyone's a better liar than you. I can smell a lie, and she literally just got away with a lie on him like 10 minutes ago.
What was the lie?
You're right. I guess she was. Well, she said she was in the Godswood praying for her father,
Right
Joffrey.
away.
And he said, "I don't believe that."
Yeah, he knew right away that was
He
bullshit.
said, "I'm not drunk enough to believe
He didn't
that."
follow up on it.
He just didn't care enough to
exactly.
find
I
out
think
what she
that's
was
right.
actually doing.
Okay. Yeah. I guess you're right.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
You guys are right.
Always.
All right.
I like this chapter. Good chapter.
Yeah.
Definitely for a Sansa one. I like Sandor too. Like he's
He's cool.
interesting character because like you kind of want to like him because he seems to look out for Sansa in this like really harsh way. But then like you remember like I said, he killed that butcher's boy. Like just stuff like that.
He's a mystery
Like-
wrapped inside of a riddle in a puzzle.
Exactly.
In a bunch of layers of an onion.
Right. Do we got anything we want to talk about for this chapter?
No, like you said, I think it was cool, and I do like Sanders or the Hound's story so far, and I don't. He's
Okay,
like
we can
probably
talk
the
about
closest thing she has to a friend, which is really weird.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of goes back into the whole Joffrey and his relationship thing. That
Definitely
he
a
is
weird
her
dynamic.
friend.
Especially
Yeah.
because Arya hates the Hound too. You know?
Yeah. Well, because of the whole butcher's boy
Butcher boy,
thing.
yeah.
It's weird.
Well, Sansa hates Arya, so it's a little
Right.
hate triangle.
Right.
You just mentioned it and we read it, but how they got their sigil. I think I've mentioned this in a non-spoiler section recently, or maybe it was in the spoiler section. I definitely brought this up
I don't recall.
pretty recently. But Kyle, did you know this before?
Nah.
Had I told you this?
Why would I have known that?
I think I might have said it in a non-spoiler section, like not knowing where it came from, if it was like outside these normal books or not.
Would you
But
spoil?
this is I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like
it's a cool story.
And how he's saying like a dog will die for you and not lie for you. And not only do the 3 dogs die, but even like his actual grandfather lost a leg, like sacrificed something of himself in this.
Mhm.
And that's how the Cleganes came to be. It also kind of makes sense of like why the Cleganes are so brutish, because they're literally like one generation from being kennel masters. Like they're not they're not a noble
Mhm.
house like the rest of these. Like even the lesser houses have been around.
Fresh
Why the
nobility.
Hound doesn't give a shit about the titles and the what do
Yeah.
they call it? The cat whatever.
The titles and
those-
shit. Yeah, exactly.
2 minutes.
Banners.
Which is like I think
The
it's
pleasantries or whatever. It's like, oh, sir, you look really dapper today. Whatever
Yeah.
they fucking call that.
all the shit that Sansa's all about is like the courtesies.
The courtesies.
The courtesies are
the
one
script
of
of
right,
being
Sansa doesn't give
a
a fuck
highborn.
about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Alright.
So I think I
songs.
think that's I think that's like a big Sansa. I think that's why people like the Hound too, is because like since he is nobility, which is puts him in all these chapters because he's like dealing with all these nobles, but because he's like at the heart not really nobility, he's way more relatable and like a lot of people like the fact he's like fuck you, you're sir, and like that kind of shit. Like who gives a fuck? Type thing.
Mhm.
But yeah,
All right, let's say bye to Kyle.
next one, Arya 5, I think.
Arya 5.
Sansa
let's
2
go.
to Arya 5.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Check out the
It
Discord,
was great
like,
seeing you,
comment,
bud.
subscribe. See you guys in the next one.
Bye.
See you, friend.
Later, guys. Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
See you later, gal. Great hanging out, bud. We'll see you on the next show for Arya 5. Guys, if you're still listening, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, anything. Also, we got a new Discord out. It's in the link below. Please make sure you check it out. If Nelson's messing up with anything, correct him. He needs some criticism.
Yeah, hook him up. He needs
I mess
help.
up with stuff a lot.
Boys, on to the spoiler section of Tyrion 2. Sansa 2. What are your hot takes for tonight?
Let's start off with a little trivia, because I feel like you guys aren't going to have much.
Hot take. Ready.
Start off with some trivia, because I feel like you guys aren't going to have much. Give me some background on Dantos Hollard and his family, the Hollards.
0.0% known.
Jeffrey?
So Dantos was at the bell ringing battle.
You're close.
Is that the
That's not
ringing of the bells?
Correct. Sir
Battle of
Dantos'
the
family was very... I'm not sure if they were the rulers of Duskendale or they were very loyal to the rulers of Duskendale. There were 2 families, the Hollards and this other one. I don't remember what they're called. It starts with a D. But Duskendale is also involved. I'm going to give you that hint. 2 families in
I don't know.
Duskendale.
I'll just tell us
Do you know
the
anything
history.
about Duskendale, Glow?
Was that the second egg book?
King Ares was captured before like the Robert Rebellion. King Ares was captured.
This is
and
where
held at it was called the Defiance of Dunsandale. He was held there, and Barristan the Bold basically single-handedly goes in and
saves the day
because he's a fucking god. And then afterwards, they command that literally every single person of both families, whatever the D family was, and Hollard, be completely destroyed. So everyone was killed except for Dantos, because Barristan was like, "Come on, just mercy. This kid, he was so young at the time. He's like, he's too young to kill." And because Barristan was the one who saved the king, he's like, "All right, I mean, I gotta listen to you. You fucking say, you're the one that did all this. So fine, we'll save Dantos." So he's the only one left from this like whole like bullshit. And I think there's some lines in the Hollard family to like the old gods. So not that any of that really matters here, but definitely interesting. And if there is a connection to the old gods, kind of more interesting because of the whole old gods like oath that he gives Sansa here. I mean, we know what comes of this. You guys know what comes of this.
Littlefinger
sent him. He is lying here in front
Littlefinger
of Littlefinger
kills his ass. Yeah.
Not a weird wood, but a heart tree.
I mean, he tries to send him home. Like, he probably thinks that he's taking her home, and then Littlefinger kills her.
But she says, "Who sent you?" And he says, "No one, on my honor."
Mm-hmm. So he's got no honor.
He says, "On my honor as a knight," or something.
He never had honor,
but he's not a knight. So if he says that, maybe it's just a little loophole he's playing.
He has no honor, so it doesn't really mean anything. That's good. Yeah.
My question that I had was, yesterday we were talking about, or last episode we were talking about how this was the same day that Littlefinger got the news about what's it called, but you're saying that the last Tyrion chapter
I guess you're
was
right.
2 weeks ahead.
I must be totally wrong on that.
So what is his plan based off of?
I must be totally wrong on that timeline because this has to be after Tyrion gets that. This has to be after Littlefinger hears that.
So we just lied to fucking Kyle. Can we get him back on real quick?
What did you lie to Kyle?
We
were wrong about the timeline.
It has to be because Glow's right. This has to be after the Tyrion chapter because, like I said to you guys in the last spoiler section, Littlefinger sends Dantos because he knows he's going to the Vale, right? So why would Dantos be here if Littlefinger didn't have that meeting with Tyrion yet? Which is what I told Kyle in the non-spoiler section. So yeah, that has to be wrong. I'm getting most of these I'm not trying to defend myself, but I am getting most of these timelines off of just like a crowdsourced website. But yeah, you're right. This one has to be incorrect.
Because of the trip to the Vale. Maybe Littlefinger was like, "Fuck, I'm just gonna spring Sansa anyway." Maybe. And like, oh shit, wait, now there's an excuse to go to the Vale. I'll just take her there with me.
Because he wasn't gonna. I guess maybe she wasn't originally. Maybe he actually was trying to spring her to Winterfell. Right, and then the plans changed, but I always thought that Dantos was because of Littlefinger, and like that's why the chapters were ordered that way, because like you need to know that, and I mean its timeline makes sense there too. So yeah, I mean that's a really good point, Glow. I'm gonna look more into that.
Yeah, do your research, would you? Stop coming unprepared.
I'll bring that up in the next spoiler.
I didn't want to like say kibosh on it.
Yeah, 100%. Good job not bringing that up in the.
You were thinking that while the deal, Glow, while we were podcasting. Wow.
Yeah, because
look at you thinking outside the box.
Well, you guys brought that up, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, yeah, even my first
we literally said this is right after, and I was like, well, I don't want to say anything right now. But.
Yeah, even my point, like one of my points to bring up was Littlefinger thinks he's going to the Vale, then he finds out he isn't, so nothing happens about this for literally a book. Yeah, and like I didn't even realize that. Like, yeah, I was totally wrong about the timeline while I was thinking that.
So who plants the letter? Littlefinger. Him himself? Does he get Varys?
One of Littlefinger's spies, probably one of
Littlefinger made.
One of Sansa's handmaids is probably Littlefinger's. Yeah. Did you guys have any points at all? I thought you guys wouldn't. There's not too much here. I don't think.
I don't have a thing.
Nor I.
So I gave you guys a thing in a Jon chapter where I thought there was like a weird. Do you remember the name
about
of the
Hound?
No, the one Children of the Forest. That
Leaf.
We know? Leaf. Remember, there was like Leaf and Root or something like that.
Yeah,
one of the Jon in one of the Jon chapters, and I was like, that sounds like that could be another. Like the way that sentence, it just seemed like it. And she says, and here Sansa says she pulled her cloak tighter. The air was rich with the smells of earth and leaf. And again, that just makes me sound like it could that you could just plug two people there, right? Maybe it
mentioned that like as she walked into the weirwood, like she felt like there was like 1,000 eyes on her or something like that.
Yeah, 1,000 eyes. It says there was something wild about the Godswood. Even here in the heart of the castle, in the heart of the city, you could feel the old gods watching with 1,000 unseen eyes. And that's like the blood raven thing. 1,000 eyes in one.
Right.
Right, because like he had one eye taken out, so like they would say like he had 1,000 spies and then one eye was like the whole joke about Bloodraven. And now Bloodraven's the one in the fucking tree who's watching everybody through the god's eye. They literally, that's pretty much what they say here. They just say, they just don't do the whole joke. I also had one where it says like there's a quote. I don't know if I have it. Something about the gods having. Jeff, can you find it? It says something about the gods having power at nighttime, like in the dark.
Yeah, it said
it's around the same time. It's around the same area.
You can feel the power the gods here,
especially at nighttime.
Especially at night. Yeah, it's something exactly like that. Kyle even brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, we might have read it in a quote, but like I think it might have been a quote that one of you guys read and that I didn't actually have.
I got it. Yet she could not deny that the god would had a certain power too, especially by night. That's all she says.
All right, so who else do we know that like has power by night?
Melisandre, the fire god.
Opposite.
Yeah, they like the daytime.
The others.
They like only come at nighttime, or night comes when they come.
Well, the fire shadows at night. You need darkness for fire.
There's like that shadow thing, but I think this is like a others type thing, and it just maybe it's because I've heard theories that like the three-eyed raven is actually like the head of the others, and like he's kind of the one behind all that. It would make sense that like the old gods are connected to the other, like people, like it just kind of makes sense, right? The old gods seem like cold north, the others are cold north.
Yeah,
it seems that there might be a connection there. Like most people think that they're opposed, which that's what the show did, so that's probably the way it's going to go. But like, what is Melisandre? The one Melisandre chapter I think we get, she looks into the fire, and she says she sees the great other, and then a boy
with a wolf's head,
and a boy with a wolf's head. So she sees like the great other and Bran. That's where a lot of the theories that like the old gods are like connected to the others come from. Is that Melisandre chapter? So like this seems to go along with that. With the old gods have power by night. I never realized that before, but
you're just ready for Winds of Winter.
So what I was going to say earlier, Nelson talking shit on Kyle for not catching things. He called out Sandor probably going to be ditching Joffrey at some point.
Joff, yeah, he did.
He did. Good call. And so
he calls it out there with like no conviction though.
Trivia.
I mean,
he's like, oh, well, maybe this will happen.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Stand on your hill, Kyle, and tell us what you think. Like, oh, maybe.
Throw that 50 on the table and fucking watch the
put your money
roll.
where your mouth is type thing. Yeah. Trivia for you guys. Why? I mean, like, this isn't like a surefire answer, but like people think that like there's a reason Sandor has a soft spot for both Sansa and Arya.
Did he have a sister?
He had a sister. Exactly. He had a sister who was like killed in like weird circumstances, probably Gregor related. So people think he has like that these girls remind him of his sister, and that's why he like protects them in that way. It is kind of weird when he calls out Sansa for like having tits and shit though. And
teats.
Having teats and like looking like a lady and stuff.
Got the good teats.
Hey, he's like, look at you,
and
sis, you're getting older, dog.
The only other thing I have is Dante's called Sansa sweet lady a couple times, or at least once.
Oh.
So
Dante's lying prick.
Nasty lady.
We had a ton of, I mean, just because he's lying, right? It's the whole little finger thing.
Little trivia for you guys. Why does Sandor leave Joffrey?
Because of the fire.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a Battle of the Blackwater. What do you mean?
This is a little trivia. Nelson had 2 trivia.
I liked it.
I
liked it.
I got some trivia going.
Jeff wouldn't have known if I wouldn't have said it. It was good.
Oh, shut up. It was in the goddamn show. Anybody that watches the show knows.
All right. I don't have anything else. I'm not going to drag it on. You guys don't have anything. We'll see you guys in the next one. Check out the Discord. Thanks for listening.
Peace out, Girl Scouts. Night is dark and full of terrors.